on YouTube. Sorry, my mind. And then
Okay.
just to let everyone know that we are going live.
Yeah. So everyone who's here joining us today
Yes.
live, um, as Amy just said, we are going live in this moment. So if
Yes.
you have your camera on and you don't want to be part of the recording, we invite you, of course, to turn that off
Mhm.
and to allow yourself to just relax and take in everything that Amy and I are here to share today. So I'd like to officially welcome everyone. This is a program that Amy and I have been looking so forward to sharing with you. I'm Marcy Newman, the Heart Shift Coach, and I'll tell you more about myself in a moment. But I'd like to officially welcome you to Live with Marcy and Amy, the Heart Centered Woman. And today we're going to be talking about gearing up for the holidays. Build a foolproof way to be empowered with hope, gratitude, and self love. So, with that, Ames, hi, and so happy you're here with me because I know that we have such an incredible connection and we are going to really bring it on today.
Yes. So yes, hello everybody. I am Amy Shade. I am a women's life coach who really supports women uh, to let go of these stories that we keep telling ourselves, and to really embrace life fully, to step into our daily life, uh, feeling empowered, feeling good about ourselves, feeling confident in our decisions, um, not second guessing ourselves, and not giving ourselves away to the many people in our lives who are oftentimes asking us for so many things in our life. And so I'm happy to be here. This is our monthly live, and this is something that Marcy and I do each month that is really geared to support you as an audience member, as a woman, or sometimes we have men on here in their life. And I'm happy to be here and excited to jump into the subject because the
Yes.
holidays are a hot subject. They are.
Yes, they are.
And
See?
so, whatever we can do to support you, we are here for that.
Yeah. And with that, let me tell you a little bit more about myself. As I told you, I'm the Heart Shift Coach, and I come to you celebrating 50 years in this field of helping people to heal their hearts. I'm very blessed to have been, I think, part of this whole pioneering crew in a lot of ways, just bringing the focus to the heart, which is what Amy and I both really recognize as being the powerhouse, number one, and number two, the key to having everything that it is that you really want in your life. Like Amy, I also specialize in working with women. And the reason for that is that what I have found through these 50 years is that the divine feminine is really being called forward at this time to bring more balance into the world, and also to bring balance to a divine union with the divine masculine. So, our focus is on women, elevating women, reminding them who they are as incredible creators, and of course, also as the powerful receivers that we are. The universe depends on us to be able to receive. And one of the things that I have found with the women that I've worked with all around the world is that there's a challenge with the women being able to receive whatever is their heart's desire, their birthright, and of course, what they deserve. So the work that I do is focused on self love, bringing women to that place of finally accepting their divinity and their empowered ability to be in this world in a completely different way than what we have been programmed to believe. So, with that, Amy, you want to get us started?
Yeah, we introduced the show and everything. I was doing the technical things behind the.
Mhm.
We did that, right?
We sure did.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Actually, you know what, Aim? Let me set the frequency by
Yeah,
sharing a quote.
great.
Okay. I found this one to be very moving. That is, and it's really what we're talking about today. When you recognize that you will thrive, not in spite of your losses and sorrows, but because of them, the word for that is healing. And so today's program is really dedicated to that so that we can be navigating through these challenging times. It also reminds me of another quote that I actually like very much, and it's appreciation can change a day, and it can even change a life. And your willingness to put it all into words is what is necessary. And that's another reason why Amy and I are here, to put to word, what these challenges are and how to go about really being able to be present and to accept each challenge as it comes. So, with that, Amy, do you mind if I ask you a question?
Sure.
Okay. Tell me something. How can someone use radical acceptance to support them during the holidays?
Yes. So, radical acceptance is such a powerful tool in our lives, especially around the holidays. And we as women and also some men, it's like we are really taught that our mission on this earth is to change people, to make them better, to have such a powerful influence on them that somehow we can, you know, take a person and turn them into a prince, right? So it's it's really such a horrible setup for us that we believe that we're actually powerful enough that we can change someone. Now, radical acceptance allows you to really see the person that's in front of you, right? And to accept them as they are. Now, and guess what? They are actually good enough where they're at. Everyone's on their own path. Everybody gets to learn their own lessons. And so when you radically accept someone for who they are and you don't try to change them, that's the actual gift. And then that will actually create change when you actually see someone for who they are. Because most of us don't, we're not seen for who we are. So oftentimes people look at us through their lens and their perspective. And they put their beliefs on us or their thoughts on us that don't belong to us. And so when you radically accept someone for who they are, that is a huge gift. And oftentimes we see it as coaches, right? Because
Yeah.
people can be who they are and we sit and listen to who they are and we accept the truth, what's in front of us, right? We don't try to change them into something else. We listen and we
Right.
get, we take it in and like we radically accept where you are today. And that is such a gift and a rarity. It hardly ever happens.
Right.
So using radical acceptance is really taking a deep breath, listening to what people are saying, and accepting it as true.
I have to say, Amy, I just want everyone, whether you're here live or listening to this in the replay, imagine pulling out your chair at your holiday party and looking around the table and doing exactly what Amy just recommended. Accepting and seeing each person exactly as they are right now. Yeah, I
Yeah,
got God bumps. Got God bumps, Amy.
I
That
mean,
was a
because
good
that is
one.
a blessing. That is an
It sh-
actual
it
blessing.
sure is. And we forget that, don't we?
We do forget that. And so it's an
Yeah.
important reminder that, yeah, I am fully accepting what's happening in this moment.
Yeah.
I am taking it all in. I'm not trying to change it. I'm not to try to make it better. I'm accepting.
Yeah.
And you want peace? That's a quick way to peace.
It sure is.
All right, Marcy, I have a question for you. And that is, before I do that, I just want to say about your appreciation quote is that the most powerful thing you can say to someone is, I appreciate you.
Yeah. So true.
Um, okay. So, what is it about this time that is making us feel so uncertain? And how can we counterbalance that energetically?
So I think this is a really important question because there are so many different approaches to this, and a lot of times people, and I know that I've heard this from a number of people actually, are feeling this anxiety, this stress, feeling uncertain, feeling unbalanced, and not really sure why, right? So we have lived for a very long time with the ability to keep the rest of the world at an arm's length, right? We've actually developed a very narcissistic way of existence. Part of that is because we have always experienced this deep level of being safe in the United States. And as we can see with what's unfolding in the world, those boundaries are being encroached upon, right? And they have through the past couple of years with different things that have occurred inside of our country. And so, with the combination of all of these things really coming to the surface, we are experiencing a different level of uncertainty to the point where we've actually started to become accustomed to being destabilized. This especially happened with COVID, right? So we all have entered into an actual um, vibrational frequency where rather than the energy of being safe, being certain, having a handle on what's happening, because we have become so accustomed to being uncertain, each and every time we reach for that certainty or that balancing, we're drawn immediately back into the uncertain energies that are keeping us destabilized. So, how do we find balance again? Number one, we do so, and Amy and I talk about this over and over and over again. This is a choice. You must make the decision to step outside of the realm of that energy that is taking you into a downward spiral. And I think if any message at all that we can impart is how important this is to remember we are not victims. In fact, as the divine feminine creators that we are, we have the ability to create life as we want to live it. But we have to step outside of the influences that are keeping us separate from it. So, in order to come back into balance, that's the first thing. You must remember that you have this choice and then start your own inquiry because it's different for all of us. What, you know, makes me feel fearful might be different from what makes you feel fearful. So we have to start that internal inquiry and decide for ourselves, okay, what's the source of that anxiety for me? And once we can determine that, it's my firm belief that once we can identify something, we now know what we're working with. So every time it starts to pop up, and by the way, it will pop up repeatedly because that's the ego's mechanism to keep you unbalanced. Remember, the ego's whole focus, purpose, as it believes, is to keep you right where you are. So it will keep poking at that, as Amy spoke about. So when we realize that that's what is happening, we can, in that moment, choose to counterbalance that. So, whatever that fear is, what can you do to mitigate the fear? What can you do? Is it going for a walk out in nature? Is it putting headphones on and listening to a guided visualization or sounds of nature? Do whatever you can right now to mitigate the influence of anything that is feeding your anxiety and stress. And going forward, I think this is going to be really, really important. You are the one who must stay away from whatever is feeding that pain and that separation. You must come together within yourself and let your spirit now be your guide. Let your heart be your guide instead. So thanks for that, Ames. My question to you now is, what role do values play when it comes to holiday gatherings? And how can you use them to create peace?
Well, I think I'm going to piggyback on your comment because, when we are in a global upset, right? Yeah. This is a perfect opportunity for you to really cultivate this idea we're not victims, cultivate ways of getting back into your empowered self, to get back to self, because it's far enough away that it's not your like cousin or your uncle or your dad or your mom, right? So you can actually start developing these techniques through this tumultuous time or unstable time. And it's then you could take those teachings and learnings and really hone them in when it comes to personal interaction, because oftentimes the personal interaction is much more difficult to navigate than the global interaction.
That's right.
So this is a perfect opportunity when we talk about opportunities during this live, is where are the opportunities to really grow and learn? And so another opportunity is values. Values are very important that there's many ways of working with values, but one way is to understand what is most important to you. Okay. Is it going to be peace during this holiday season? Is it going to be ease, having ease in your life? Is it going to be having fun? Is fun going to be joy? Is that going to be your value that you are going to cultivate this holiday season? It can be the value of agitation. It can be these lower values that we decide that we are going to enroll in. Okay. Now, what does that mean? Well, if I want to embody peace and I want to bring peace into my holiday season, okay, that's the value I want to embody. That's the value I want to energetically give out to people, is this peace. And so if I decide that I want peace or I want joy, let's stay on peace, then I have to figure out, what does peace look like? what are some things that brings peace to me? How do I navigate peace through this holiday season? So it's one thing to say, oh, I have a value of peace. It's another thing to say, how am I going to set up a system for myself that ensures that peace is radiating from me? And that is the value I will be holding this holiday season. Okay. That is one way to work with values, is to pick a value and make that top of mind every day, and to figure out how you're going to navigate it so that you are actually living out your value. Excuse me. Because when you don't live out your values, you're out of integrity, like what's important
Right.
to you. And then you start giving yourself away.
Yep.
And this is, you know, people often think it's willpower or it's like self-judgment. It's me, I'm the one, you know. It's like, no, it's more like pick a value.
Yeah.
Create a scenario. What does that value look like? What does it feel like? And how do I navigate life so that's when things come at me, I'm going to first think peace, and how am I going to make this a peaceful situation? That's one way to work with values. Another way to work with values is I'm going to go into later on when it comes to other people. But that's one way you can really you got to know that value so well, and you got to love that value and want to embody that value so strongly that nothing will take you off your course.
Thanks for that.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, you know, Marcy, you speak of hope, gratitude, and self-love for empowerment. IN. What do they have to do with influencing our state of mind that helps to navigate challenging conversations and situations? You know, what if you don't feel any of those and you can't muster them up?
Yeah. Again, these are just such wonderful topics for us to be discussing. So, you know, this happens very often with all of us at some time or another, right? Where we're not feeling hopeful or we're not feeling grateful. And I think very often when that happens, we have a tendency to hone in to that feeling of not feeling what it is that we believe we should be feeling. In other words, we actually tune into the separation from it. And of course, what happens is wherever you put your focus, it's going to expand. And so, as we are focusing on that gap between where we are and where we would like to be, and we see it full of void, emptiness, that is what we will experience. However, if even when we are experiencing what we what we determine is a lack of hope or a lack of gratitude, what is actually happening in that moment is that we are acknowledging that it does exist. So we have to allow ourselves this grace of remembering that just as separation may be ingrained within us, our true nature, which is more powerful than anything, is the one that offers that hope, offers that gratitude, and of course, reminds us of who we really are. So all the while, the ego is going, tick, 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 you know, you're all alone, you've been abandoned, you are a victim, all of that. At the very same time, what is also present is this voice of your higher self, this true nature, that is saying to you, remember, this is temporary. And if you will take one step towards choosing, like Amy was saying, choosing peace, right? If you will take one step towards what it is that you want, the universe will respond to you and meet you not only where you are, but multiplies 10,000 fold, because it takes where that one little minute particle of hope is, and it travels out through the entire cosmos, collecting more energy just like it. So it will bring back to you more hope, more to experience that, because what is returned to us is always in the form of experience. When it comes to gratitude, the one thing I want to say about gratitude is so often people believe that the only way to get aligned with that energy is to start counting everything that you are. And I say that that's a lot of times what the hang up is, right? Oh, no, not count up everything you are, but count up everything that you have. That's what I meant to say. So we try to count up, oh, I should be grateful I've got this roof over my head. I should be grateful I have this, grateful I have that. And that, I believe, actually takes us off course, because a lot of times you might have something, but you actually want more. And so what might happen is that the energy of the ego will carry you into what you don't have, even though you're trying to compile this list of what you do have. So instead, I'd like to invite you this holiday season to look instead at what are the things, what are the experiences that just make me feel better. Sometimes you're going to have to conjure up a memory of being with someone and just having a wonderful time. Sometimes it'll be, and I say this is, this happens for me all the time. It can be the ray of sunshine coming between the clouds or trees, and all of a sudden I feel this elevation. It can be, seeing a puppy. It can be overhearing a conversation with kids and hearing their laughter. What's important there is that you're now zeroing in, not on where you believe you should be and allowing the ego to gobble that up, but instead start collecting whatever tiny little minute thing brings you any sense of feeling better. Again, it can be something as subtle as, the light streaming through the trees, or something that makes you laugh. The invitation also is to not allow yourself to go back to trying to compile a list of something you're grateful for. So what I've just described for you is actually the collection of love. You are collecting evidence that love exists in your life. That's why you feel softer. That's why you'll get a smile on your face or laughter. Or that's why you will suddenly start to see things differently. It's because love is on the move within you. It's always on the move within you. So don't get hung up on believing that, the hope and the gratitude is the only way to become empowered. It's through your empowerment that already exists that you will be able to connect with hope again. And that empowerment is the love that's already within you. You are empowered with that at all times. It's source. You'll be able to connect to that hope. And you'll be able to connect then to the energy of gratitude. So the invitation is, rather than shifting or moving or looking towards something that's actually empty for you, into what remains full and accessible to you. And this, again, this is, you have the power to reprogram yourself constantly. And that's what Amy and I are talking about here, making different choices. So with that, Ames, I'd like to ask you, why is it important to gear up, or as you say, warrior up for the holidays?
Yeah, so before I go into that question, I want to piggyback on what you said, which is, this is like an inside job. So if we are going to really reflect on a gratitude and who we are as people, it has to be for you and only you.
Yeah.
It has to be something that, this could be your little secret. Because oftentimes we're looking for other people to see something in us that we're good, or that we're being good, or that we're worthy. And really, that is a trap that people fall into as they are doing their internal work. And people on the outside are not seeing that internal work. And then we get frustrated, or we give up, right? What's the use? No one's noticing how I'm changing, right? Nothing's changing. But the thing about it is, I do want to say that this is all for you. Like, all of this is yours. It belongs to no one else but you. And I think this is an important kind of thing to remember, is that we're not figuring things out for other people. We're figuring them out for us.
Right.
Only us. And then people will reap the benefits of that, or they will never see you other than what they think you are. And those people, we need to then figure out how to use our values to navigate around those people, if we decide we want to navigate around them at all. And so when it says, like, why is it important to gear up? Why is it important to warrior up, right? This is something that is telling a story about preparation. It's telling a story of preparing for what's to come. So we're not flying by the seat of our pants. We are actually preparing before we go into a situation. And, this is important. And a lot of people, don't really equate this to your own transformation. So that, like, they might equate it to, like, practicing before you play a game. Rehearsing before I go on stage. These are things that are normal in certain situations. And I want to make it normal that you warrior up, you gear up, and you prepare yourself before you open that door. Okay. You go into, and we'll be doing this on the workshop. We're doing this on the workshop that Marcy and I are having. That you guys also have an opportunity to jump into, is I will take you through the process of how do you warrior up for these situations. And this, to me, is very important, because what did I warrior up with? I warrior up with my values. I warrior up with embodying those values. So I walk in already empowered, almost untouchable, right? Because my energy is so elevated in high energies of joy, in peace, in confidence, right? And so this is what people oftentimes do not want to encounter. They want to encounter someone that they can go in and influence through their low energies. Okay. These are the agitators. These are the people who are trying to poke the bear in everybody, because then they get a reaction that makes them feel superior. Right. And what happens is when we warrior up, when we gear up, when we prepare ourselves for this experience, right, of walking into a situation where they are unable to affect us in that manner. And I mean really unable, because we are so empowered in self and our values and what we hold to be true and what we hold to be valued and important. We are not giving that away for anyone. This is the key. When your values become the most important thing in the room, no one can touch you. And so that's what we'll be doing on the workshop. If you want to check out the workshop, the link is in there. That I will be taking you through that process of gearing you up, getting you ready for anything that comes your way, because this is your holiday. Okay. This is your joy. This is your time. Everything is for you. That is my perspective. Everything is for me. I get to walk in as me, and everything is for me. To have a nice time, to have joy, and to have laughter. That belongs to me. And if I get someone who's trying to disrupt that, well, we're going to keep talking about how to do that. How do we disrupt that? Mm-hmm. No one's going to disrupt my good time. That's like really, at this point in my life, that's very difficult to do. So we are going to be sharing that on our workshop if you want to check it out, among other things. With that, Marcy, I'm going to go ahead and bring the question to you.
Okay.
So gratitude has long been touted as the route to healing all things. Do you believe that to be true? And if so, how does it work?
So, I always look at things from an energetic perspective. And the one thing that I have found about gratitude is that the energy frequency, the vibrational frequency of that energy is so high that it's almost like a postal service. Okay. You have gratitude as the basis for anything that you're projecting out into the universe. It's happening. And it's going fast and, furious. It is going out with a burst of energy, a burst of light into the universe. And the universe, of course, receives it and, responds accordingly. So gratitude does have the capacity to heal anything. But getting back to our responsibility to actually seek the energy rather than what it is that we think it should look like or sound like or be like. The energy itself is what needs to speak to us. So we have to familiarize ourselves with the feeling of it. The feeling of being grateful is one literally where your feet are not on the ground. It is this elevation that happens just like that. And it literally makes you feel like you've sprouted wings. So that's the feeling of that energy frequency. So you can imagine then, if you're feeding that energy of course, it has this incredible, miraculous ability to heal whatever rifts there are, whatever separation that you are experiencing. The other reason for that is that gratitude shares the frequency of what we call love. Okay, so as we're talking about going into these holiday situations, I want you to remember that you're doing it because you actually want to connect heart to heart. You want to connect because the giving and the receiving of love between family members and friends is what we need. And so we need to cultivate the way to reconnect to that. So rather than going into these holiday situations in a defensive way or covered in armor, it is through preparation. But what is it that we're really doing with the preparation, like Amy spoke of? We're raising our vibrational frequency. Once we raise our vibrational frequency, those things that we would experience in a lower frequency or a denser energy cannot penetrate. So the preparation is in raising our vibrational frequency so that we can experience everything our heart is yearning for. The joy, the feeling that you have of being loved for who you are. Amy talked about, this radical acceptance, right? This gift that we have to give others is to actually see them and hear them and accept them for who they are. These pieces are absolutely essential so that we can reclaim those connections that are meant to feed our heart. And the one thing that I would have to say is that, and I don't know if you've experienced this, Amy, and if you have, for those of you who are in the audience and you'd like to share in the chat, I know for myself, never before have I had this desire and this need for community. In this moment, I know that the connections that I have with others, I need to make certain that they're feeding me. It's my responsibility that I'm not in relationships that are in that void. They feel empty, where I feel like I'm not being seen and heard, because it impacts how I can be present for others. And I know they want that from me too. We need each other now. It's part of how we are to create that stability. And it's how we are to create that connection to self and to source. It's through the love that we share. Love is not complete until it's given and received. So when we start to accept that these universal principles, these universal laws, number one, the one we're talking about is partnership, we start to recognize how important it is that we start to connect all these dots that Amy and I are talking about today and accept it wholeheartedly as our ability to create, to nourish, and to nurture what is going to create all of that stability that we're seeking, all of that heart to heart connection, all of the healing that might take place, and of course, to continually raise our vibrational frequency so that we can be a healing agent and experience the healing agents that others then will be able to offer us. We must be able to receive so that we can give. We must be able to give so that we can receive. They're completely connected. So with that, Ames, I'd like to ask you, how can a person see an obstacle know it's an obstacle, and yet create an opportunity.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so when it comes to the holidays, it's like Groundhog Days. Okay. It's like you already know what's going to happen. You know the people you connect with, you know the people you don't connect with, you know the people who are toxic, you know the people who are very caring and loving, you know the people who are agitators, and you know the people who are, peacemakers. We already know our own people, right? So when you walk into that house and you're like, well, there's the agitator, there's the peacemaker, you know who everybody is. Okay. Let's not fool ourselves that we don't know who these people are, right? So the fact of the matter is like, that's good information. That's good information to have. Again, radically accept that information. And don't get attached to judging them for being the peacemaker, judging them for being the agitator. Do not, that's the key to radical acceptance, is that there's actually no judgment. Okay. And as you're walking through and you're entering this house and you're seeing everyone, you're basically just telling the truth. You're not judging them. They're, they need to change, or they're so bad, or whatever. And so the most important person in the room is you. Okay. You are the most important person in the room. That is one way that you can create opportunities, is to stop focusing on everyone else and really focus on you and just how powerful you are. Okay. Because you've got this secret. You've got this secret. You know how to do it. You feel capable. You're ready to go. You've prepared, right? You warriored up. And therefore, you have this secret thing inside of you that no one else knows. And you're not going to tell anyone else about it. Okay. And so how do we then take the find the opportunity in the obstacle? So, it's interesting because we have our values, right? And then other people have their values. Some of our values connect and some of our values do not connect. Okay. Some of us believe that lying is not a good value. So lying might be value number 100. Okay. But someone else might think lying is a good value, right? They implement that in their life all the time. And for them, that's like probably one of their top 5 values, right? And it's true. When you look at other people and how they're acting, not what they're saying, you can see what values they actually have. Now, people might be like, but lying is not a value. Oh, yes, it is. A lot of people live their life through that value. Just like a lot of people live their life with the value of peace. Okay. There's no judgment on values. They are just how people live their life and how they do their lives. Right. It's not something that they say, oh, my number one value is being honest. And then they're like the biggest liar in the world. So we have to like radically accept people's values. This is an opportunity for us. This is where the opportunity happens, because we understand that this person in front of us, their number one value might be an agitator. Okay. That might be their number one. I mean, I know someone like that in my family. Their number one value is to agitate. They love it. They get off on it. They find it fun. They enjoy it. It's one of their top 5 values, to agitate. So knowing that is good information, because as the agitator is coming towards me, where my number one value is peace. See, we've got 2 opposing values in a conversation, right? And so he doesn't know that I know that his top value is an agitator. And he doesn't know what my top value is peace. He doesn't know. I know that. So how do I make an opportunity from that information? How do I create an opportunity from that information? Well, I create that opportunity because whatever he says to me, I'm really peaceful about it. I'm like, okay. It diffuses agitation. Peace will diffuse agitation. So there's many ways. Me, I don't react. I also might go into like, oh, how's your family doing? Or how's your daughter? Or how the Chargers doing? Right? Whatever they value, I will go into that conversation and get out of this agitation. Why? Because peace is important to me. And like Marcy said, I'm not there to close people off. I am there to connect with people. And just because this one area of our life he wants to agitate me on, I'm not going to connect on that area. So I'm going to connect on a different area. Right? Usually it's like, how are the Chargers doing? That's a good connection. Right? So I take that obstacle that's coming at me and I make it an opportunity. And so we all get to really hone in this feeling of self and what's important to self. I don't want to get agitated. I don't want to get angry because guess what? It only hurts me. It's not one of my values. It's one of their values. They love it. It's not one of my values. So look at your values, look at other people's values. And with that, I think we are, yeah. So what do you feel is often the obstacle or challenge to being able to relax and enjoy the holidays, Marcy? And what if there really is no reason to celebrate or feel grateful?
Yeah. So what I find, and has actually been part of conversations that I've been having recently, is, and I think we've been talking about it for the whole show. It's really the energy that you are allowing to influence you to continually create separation within you with your own well-being, your own peace, your own sense of self. And so the obstacle is that you have forgotten who you are. You have forgotten that you are a divine creator. You have the ability to pivot on a dime and shift your energy so that it shifts the lens that you are looking through. So you have a choice under every circumstance. You can look through the lens of the ego. The ego will constantly tell you that person doesn't deserve you. You don't deserve to be treated that way. They're, an ass. You're this. You're better than they. In other words, it will constantly produce the friction that Amy's been talking about, that poking of the bear. It actually is coming from the ego. So what happens is you have an opportunity in that moment to either feed that energy and sit through the entire holiday period looking through the eyes of the ego, or coming back into your heart, remembering who you are and that you can create a shift in energy at any moment you choose to. I always say spirit tells us that new life begins every nanosecond that we choose it, and we are the ones who must choose it. We cannot allow ourselves to be in a constant state of reacting to everyone else. We are here to respond accordingly and create then what it is that we want to experience. This is so important. And it's important on a number of levels. We must reclaim who we are. So regardless of what's happening in the world, regardless of what's happening at your holiday table, regardless of what is happening within you, you have the ability to choose to decide right here and right now how you want to experience it. And from my perspective, no more powerful thing than to remember that we have choice.
Yeah.
So, in which case, then there is no obstacle, right? So, we have an opportunity this holiday period to really be everything that we've come here to be and experience life in a way that we never have before. And I do hope, by the way, that each of you will join us for our Grinch proofing holiday interactive workshop that we're holding this Saturday. We wanted to make sure we got it in before the actual holiday begins.
Yeah. I put the link in the chat.
And we have so many incredible things that we have planned for you, and things that I do believe you've never experienced before, quite frankly. There are different methods and processes that Amy and I use with our private clients as well as for ourselves, and ways to hone in quickly on the energy frequency that you need to maintain, you need to feed, to nurture, and to nourish. And of course, to empower you in the best way possible for you. Like Amy said earlier, this is an inside job. Only you, your heart knows what it needs to shore up. And so you will have the opportunity this Saturday to speak face to face with Amy and I. We will be there to support you. It's a 90-minute workshop. We have some incredible things planned, all geared towards transforming your experiences. We're talking transformational experiences because that will change the lens that you're looking through.
Yeah, this is not a PDF
and you are
moment.
creating through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is not a PDF moment. This is a interactive, transformational experience that actually takes you, that actually embody not only your mind. The PDF is about the mind.
Yeah.
It's the mind and body moving into a transformational experience.
That's right.
That's where it happens, not in the mind. You can't forget the body. All right. Right?
Yeah.
So this Saturday, the link is in the chat.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yep. Please join us. And the other thing is that there are 3 major bonuses that you're going to get when you sign up.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1, you're going to get free access to a month of Heart-Centered Woman membership. Number 2, you're going to get the entire, 6 hours of replays from our September conference. And number 3, you're going to get a travel certificate that will give you $100 off.
Up to $100.
Up to $100 off of your hotel.
Which is important for the holidays.
Which is important for the holidays. And of course, you have direct access to Amy and I.
Yep.
And that you can't even put a price tag on. Yep. Quite frankly. So we do hope that you'll join us. And anything else, Amy?
Yeah, I just want to say that, just remember who you are. Just remember that you get to create what you want to create.
Right.
Just remember that, Marcia and I are here for the workshop to help support you in all of that and how to make that come to fruition. Yeah. And that, we would love to see you there, and we hope to see you there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And with that, happy holidays, everyone. Remember, you are empowered for success, for happiness, for your well-being. And we hope that you've enjoyed this program as much as we've enjoyed being here with you. So much love to you. And we, of course, will see you. Our next show, which is the 3rd week of December. And that show, by the way, is something that is very special and near and dear to Amy's and my heart. It's a show completely dedicated to grief and the different aspects of grief. We believe that when we come to an end of our year, that we all have much to grieve, to let go of, so that we can enter into the new year with a new level of heart presence, being heart centered and empowered. So please join us for that. And by the way, even if you can't join us live on Saturday for the workshop, once you register, you will get the replay. And
Mhm.
Amy and I have also decided that, should that be the case for you, that you can email us one question, right? And we will address that specifically to you. So, with that, so much love to you. We'll see you again soon, and happy holidays.
Happy holidays, everyone.